Hello everybody, my name is HeliumLemon15, and today is July 2nd. Welcome back to Hylics. This is part 3. We're starting off at home, getting some vegetables for the long trip, getting our road trip snacks, because we know we'll need to heal between tough battles, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, how's everybody doing? July 2nd, things are getting hot here in New York, although I'm preparing to move to Baltimore to go to school. Um, and I'm actually going there soon because I'm going to be working there before I go to school there. Speaking of working, we're getting some equipment, some new equipment because we've been grinding and we can finally afford it. Getting a dirk for Wayne. I know dirk, how dare you say such a dirty word. Getting a dirk for Wayne and getting some updated armor for the rest of us. For the last of us. For the rest of us. No, I don't know. The Last of Us. It's like one of those games that I don't really follow. Or like Red Dead Redemption or something. I had my friend tell me this whole story about like how I think it was Red Dead Redemption. I don't remember if it was that game or a different game, but I'm pretty sure it was Red Dead Redemption. And he was telling me all about how beautiful it was that like you couldn't just like fast travel places. You had to like ride from town to town on your horse, and it was just these long moments of gameplay that were just like silent and then he compared it to Spirited Away, like the scene on the train that was just silent. And then I was like, oh, I've never seen Spirited Away. And he's like, oh, you have to see Spirited Away. So I am going to try to see Spirited Away. That reminds me, I had some friends who wanted to have like a Miyazaki movie night, and we never made it happen. And I don't know the difference between Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli too much, but I know at this point I've seen My Neighbor Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle, and they're pretty good movies. Howl's Moving Castle was a good movie. My Neighbor Totoro, I was young-ish, like 13, so I don't remember it as well. I don't know, maybe if it just didn't stick with me as much, I'll be honest. But, I can appreciate it when I see people talking about it. Now that we've got Datasmoln, we're gonna go over to this place, this, like, dangerous factory place. I'm not sure what to call it. It feels very much like a lab. It feels very sterile. Everything's like a grid layout. There's a TV up here. We already learned Mystic Meat from it, but now that we look at it again, I think now Datasmoln learns Mystic Meat as well. Gonna leave in a few battles at the beginning. Gotta appreciate these beautiful backgrounds, and gotta appreciate the animations that Mason did for all these different attacks. Like every different attack has a claymation animation that is unique. Although I like the basic attack a lot, just like the finger snap with the leather glove. It's very iconic. It looks very cool. This foothead guy is a really annoying enemy. I don't know why he just is. The foothead. Because his head is a foot. That's a very creative enemy name. Oh, look at that. It's very creative. Now that we've got the bad juju on Datasmoln, he has a chance of inflicting poison with every attack. But you know, now that we're getting a bit better at the game and just leveling up and stuff, we can grind off of these few enemies a bit more. Also get a few muscle appliques. Those are very useful because they're like a permanent stat increase. They will permanently increase your mightiness, which is basically just offensive power. It's kind of frustrating that they don't even make a sound when you use them, so there's no like feedback. Like feedback loops are very important when you're a game developer, but minor complaint. God, this place is just like swarming with enemies. Like, I know it's like a conscious choice, like to have a RPG with like enemy sprites on the overworld versus just like random encounters. I like both, but like you have to be very conscious about it when you do actual enemy sprites, rather than just random encounters, because it can make it feel very cluttered. It can make the screen feel cluttered. Yeah, Space Shuriken, so powerful. It feels like I'm throwing like what are those like little metal things? Like they're called jacks. I feel like that's not a very descriptive name, but it's like that metal toy that people play with. It feels like I'm throwing like, I don't know, metal toys at an enemy. I don't know why. That's very random. And of course the decision to leave like the sprites of dead enemies on a map, it gives a sense of progression, but it can make the map feel very cluttered. Of course, when you do have random encounters, those are very frustrating because it's like you're trying to walk around and not get lost and remember where you are, and then, oh, you're suddenly on a different screen with a random encounter. Trapped by an instant death enemy, that's always a good feeling. Got the Sage of Computers, which is the second sage, because there's apparently 3 sages. The Sage of Brains, the Sage of Computers, and something else. We haven't found the 3rd sage yet. There's a water cooler. Gonna come back there eventually. So yeah. Today I'm just preparing for my move to Baltimore. It's pretty exciting. Hopefully it's not too hot in the summer, because it was very warm when I went there in February, and it was a nice kind of warm. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like New York in the summer. I don't like anything over like 80 degrees, and yesterday it was 90. But, you know, that's the joy of having a good air conditioner. So hopefully the place where I'm moving has a good air conditioner. We'll find out. Grinding on some easy enemies, just getting more meat and supplies from them. Any good drops from them are much appreciated, and there's nothing much over here. There's stuff that we have already gotten, so just trying to avoid these skulls. They don't really look like skulls. They're too pink and fleshy. They've got all these like fleshy tendrils that just, I don't know. But you know, they are skulls in the world of Hylics. They do be skulls. Yeah, this battle was stupid. I hated it. I should have killed that guy on the very end first, because he kept like healing his party members. He was like, yo, I'm gonna heal you. And of course, I'm not sure if it's every other turn. I think it might be random, actually. These foot guys will like parry your attack. And it doesn't do that much damage, but it still is annoying. You want to be on guard when they do parry your attack. This is a warp to the rest of the overworld, or to a different overworld, basically, but it's a much bigger one. And this is where the game really starts taking off, is when you explore, like, the second world. But before we do that, we're going to use our paper cup. Data Smolen's dead, but we can revive him with a warm burrito. That's always good. Have a burrito, dude. Making me hungry for a burrito right now. I haven't had lunch. I had a bowl of oatmeal squares for breakfast. And, had a cup of mocha coffee. And that's all I've eaten today. I want some cheese. I'm such a sucker for cheese. This whole week I've been going through, like, my mom made these 2 whole batches of oatmeal raisin cookies. And, like, I never loved oatmeal raisin cookies before this, but, like, they were so sweet and so delicious. And, like, I don't know, I just felt like I was eating something with, like, real sustenance every time I was eating them. I don't know, and it makes me wish I could bake. Because, I don't know, there's just something about eating something warm out of the oven that's, you can't replicate it. So, I'm only 23. I'm sure I'll learn to bake at some point. So this is the second overworld. It's so wondrous and beautiful, and has this big pink sea. It feels so much more open and expansive than the first overworld, with like these small white islands with a bunch of like cities and towns and villages on them. I have nothing more to say. Good for you, lady. Walk through the intestines. Okay, take a nap. And the smoke of evening government and bourgeoisies rose like a zesty truth in the seas. That's very, very deep. I like that. Evening governments. It's like, are governments different in the evening versus the morning? It's like, I don't know. Does something about the evening make the government different? I'm sorry, I'm really trying to say something deep and profound, but I'm clearly failing. I'm not as deep as Mr. Mason Lindroth, except his text is randomly spit out from a computer, so... I wonder how he did that. I wonder if he just fed like a bunch of books to an algorithm and made it spit out random sentences, and I wonder if he had to develop that algorithm, and I was expecting these guys to be difficult, but they weren't too bad. We got, what do we got here? We got a malign hologram, and we got a guard. And they're guarding this sort of tower place, and I'm not sure if this is the next place where we want to go, but we can keep exploring, especially because these enemies aren't so bad. We're gonna get a third-party member soon, which will make it even easier. And of course, we can keep grinding for money and getting better equipment, etc., etc. The joy of an RPG. You feel rewarded for progression, because you fight more enemies, and then you're like, okay, I can do these easy enemies, now let me take on some harder enemies. And then every once in a while, if you don't know the progression of the game, you take on enemies that are a bit harder than you're ready for. And that's exactly what's happening here, this big tentacle thing. This actually looks like something out of Samros 3. If anyone's played that game, I sure have. That's a great game. It's a great game, Strong Bad. Chrono Trigger. Super Nintendo. I've never played Chrono Trigger, I'm ashamed to admit. I had a music student once who was a few years older than me, and we talked about video games all the time, and he actually grew up with stuff like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, and he's like, oh, those are the best games, you gotta play those games, and someday I'll try and play those games, either get them on Wii U Virtual Console, or probably just get a SNES emulator and do that kind of thing. So, thank you for watching, and see you on Hylics Episode 4. Goodbye.